It was a calm night in the little village of Obadina. Inside a small clay house, Amara lay beside her husband Tond. They had been married for 5 years but had no children. Amara prayed every night, begging God to bless her womb. But each morning, she woke up still empty. That night, something strange happened. Amara woke suddenly. She thought she heard whispers. At first, she wanted to ignore it, but the sound kept pulling her. It was soft, almost like someone talking to unseen people. She rose quietly so as not to wake Tond. Barefoot, she tiptoed through the narrow hallway. The whispers grew louder. Her heart pounded as she followed them to the backyard. There, by the faint glow of candles, stood Mama Dupe, Tond's mother. She was in the middle of a circle of candles. Her lips moved quickly, as if speaking to someone, but there was nobody there. Amara hid behind the wooden door. Her hands shook. Shadows danced around Mama Dupe, though no wind blew. Then, Amara saw something that made her mouth go dry. Mama Dupe lifted a small clay doll shaped like a baby. She whispered strange words, then threw the doll into the fire. The flames swallowed it, crackling louder than usual. Amara gasped and pressed her hand against her mouth, afraid a scream would escape. Fear ran through her like cold water. Was this the reason she couldn't have children? She rushed back inside, trembling, and lay beside Tond. But sleep never came again that night. The next day, Amara tried to act normal. She smiled, cooked, and greeted Mama Dupe, who laughed and told her stories as if nothing had happened. But deep inside, Amara's chest felt heavy. She couldn't stop thinking about the burning doll. She decided she would watch Mama Dupe closely. Days passed. Amara pretended to be busy with chores but secretly followed her mother-in-law's every move. One evening, Mama Dupe told Tond she was going to visit a sick friend. But Amara knew it was a lie. The moment Mama Dupe left, Amara followed her quietly. She hid behind trees and walls, careful not to be seen. At the edge of the village stood an old hut nobody used. Amara crept closer and peeked through the cracked window. Her blood ran cold. Inside, Mama Dupe sat with 3 other women. They all wore red wrappers and sat around a pot that bubbled with something dark. The women's voices rose in chants Amara could not understand. Then Mama Dupe stood and lifted her hands. "I offer the unborn again, for my youth," she said. Amara's knees weakened. Tears burned her eyes. She realized the bitter truth. Mama Dupe had been sacrificing her unborn children all along, using them to keep herself strong and youthful. Amara fled from the hut, her heart breaking, her breath shaky. She couldn't tell Tond yet. Who would believe her without proof? She decided to seek help. At dawn, Amara went straight to see Pastor Chike, the humble leader of the village church. She poured out everything she had seen. Pastor Chike's face hardened. He took her hand and said, "This battle is not yours alone. We must bring the truth to light." That night, Pastor Chike gathered a small group of trusted church members. Together they prayed in secret, asking for courage and protection. But Mama Dupe was not a fool. She noticed Amara's strange behavior, her avoidance, her constant visits to the church. Suspicion grew in her heart. One night, Mama Dupe left the house again with a small bag. Amara and Pastor Chike followed, this time with 2 church members trailing behind. They arrived at the same hut. Inside, Mama Dupe held a white cloth stained with blood. The sight made Amara nearly faint. "This night, we strengthen our power," Mama Dupe cried. The church members outside knelt and began to pray. Their voices grew louder. Inside, the women stopped suddenly, sensing something was wrong. "It is time," Pastor Chike whispered. They rushed in, bursting through the door. Mama Dupe's eyes glowed like fireflies. She laughed, her voice sharp. "You dare to stop me? Do you know who I am?" But Pastor Chike stood firm. "We know what you've done. It ends tonight. The group raised their voices in prayer. Mama Dupe screamed, reaching for a black pot. But Amara knocked it from her hands. It shattered, spilling thick smoke. Mama Dupe staggered, clutching her head. You fools! I've lived for decades because of this power. You cannot take it from me. But the prayers grew louder. The walls of the hut shook. Mama Dupe collapsed to her knees, the light in her eyes fading. Amara stood over her, tears on her face. You took my children. You stole my joy. But not anymore. The battle was not fully over, but that night, Mama Dupe's strength was broken. Whispers spread across Obadina the next day. Some villagers believed Amara. Others defended Mama Dupe, saying she was too kind to do such evil. Ton was torn. He loved his mother, but he couldn't ignore his wife's pain. That night, Mama Dupe went back to the hut one last time. She lit candles, opened her old wooden box, and called upon the spirits. I want my power back, she shouted. The spirits appeared in the smoke. Their voices boomed. You have failed, Mama Dupe. The woman you fight is protected. The only price left is your son. Sacrifice him, or lose everything. Mama Dupe froze. The thought of losing Ton crushed her. For once, doubt filled her heart. Meanwhile, in the church, Amara and the prayer group prayed harder than ever. Their voices rose like thunder, shaking the night. The spirits grew restless. Their power weakened. The hut filled with bright light, forcing them to vanish. Mama Dupe fell to the ground, defeated. Tears rolled down her cheeks. By morning, she returned home weak and broken. She confessed everything to Ton and Amara. I wanted to stay young, she wept. But I lost my soul instead. Ton turned away, his face heavy with pain. Mama, you almost destroyed us. Amara's voice was calm but firm. We forgive you, but you must change. Weeks later, Mama Dupe began to attend church. She stopped her dark practices and tried to live quietly. And then, the miracle happened. Amara discovered she was pregnant. Joy filled the family. The whole village celebrated the birth of the child. Even Mama Dupe wept as she held her grandchild, whispering, "Thank you for this second chance." The family had walked through fire. But in the end, love, courage, and forgiveness brought healing.